Peace, Shalom. It's your brother Shemai Allah. I want to give all praise, glory, honor, and thanksgiving to Yahweh Shema Mashak Yahushua. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. You know what I'm saying? This lesson right here gonna be quick. And it's going into the third day of creation. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, let me start in Genesis. Genesis chapter 1, you know what I mean? So we gonna see that when the Most High, He created everything, third day really getting into the dry land, the waters, and the dry land. You know what I'm saying? So, Genesis chapter 1, I'm going to start at verse 9. It says, see, the earth separated from the waters. It says, and God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. So, like, you do a Google search about how many oceans there are, it'll tell you it's one ocean. You know what I'm saying? But it's actually more than that, you know what I'm saying? It's more than one ocean. You know what I'm saying? But let's see what Google say. How many oceans, right? And it really depends on your source. So, you know, it'll say different things, but some say 5, some say 7, some say one ocean. Okay. It says there are 5 recognized oceans: the Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Southern, and Arctic. While the idea of the 7 seas is a historical term, the modern scientific and geographical consensus is that there are 5 oceans that make up one global body of water. You see? One global body of water. So, like, that's kind of what we just read in Genesis. You know what I'm saying? It says, Genesis 1 and 9, God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place. So that one place is basically the whole area on earth, okay, where all the water is gathered. But we're going to come to a understanding and realize all of those that one area, okay, that the water is given to be placed at is actually going to be divided into 7 parts. Like I tell you, it's going to tell you that in the Apocrypha. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get into that real quick. Alright. Verse 10, God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called the seas. So you see the seas, the gathering together of the waters called the seas. Called he seas. So, and God saw that it was good. So that's why you have the term or the phrase, you know, the 7 seas. Okay. Which is like a metaphor for for that one global body of water to be divided into 7 parts, like I tell you in the Apocrypha. Okay. So the seas, the Most High called these waters the seas. You know what I'm saying? It said, and God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. Okay. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after its kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning was the 3rd day. So all of this happened on the 3rd day. You know what I'm saying? So the waters, right, were gathered together unto one place. All right. So let's deal with that real quick. The waters were gathered together unto one place, like we just read here. It says there are 5 oceans that make up one global body of water. See, that one global body of water is the one place that the waters were gathered together, according to Genesis chapter 1 verse 9. Okay. And after they were gathered together, the Most High let the dry land appear. Okay. So let's go to the Apocrypha real quick, man. All right, this is 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 42. It says, upon the 3rd day, thou didst command that the waters should be gathered in the 7th part of the earth. What's the 7th part of the earth? The 7th part of the earth is the area of the earth where all of the bodies of water are located at. You know what I'm saying? Which make up the 7 oceans or the 7 seas. You know what I mean? But see, they tell you it's 5 oceans. Really, is when you break it down, it's actually 5. I mean 7. It's actually 7 oceans. Okay. This is a website here. This is NOAA, National Ocean Service, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, all right, which is known as NOAA. And you know that's like, you know Noah, Genesis flood and all that. That's kind of cold. So you see what are the 7 seas, man? Because we just read what we just read. The Most High in Genesis chapter 1, right? In chapter 1 verse 9, he let the waters that are under the heaven be gathered together unto one place. And what? Verse 10 tells you, and the gathering together of the waters, right, were called the seas. Right? He called those the seas. The gathering together of the water he called seas. Excuse me. So that one body of water, all right, that one body of water ended up being called the 7 seas, right? The Most High called them the seas. So right here with Noah, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, right? It says, what are the 7 seas? The 7 seas include the Arctic, North Atlantic, right? We got the South Atlantic. And we got the North Pacific, South Pacific. Then we got the Indian and the Southern Oceans, right? Those right there, that tell you right there. According to Noah, that's 7. That's the 7 oceans, which are in allegory are called the 7 seas. It's not really seas, you know what I'm saying? It's just that's a metaphor for the 7 oceans. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 oceans, man. So that's according to the Apocrypha, what we just brought out, right? Let's look at it again. 2nd Ezra chapter 6 verse 42. Upon the 3rd day thou didst command that the waters should be gathered in the 7th part of the earth. See that? The 7th part of the earth, man. So the waters were gathered together in 7 parts, which make up the 7 oceans, man, which are also known as the 7 seas. You know what I'm saying? It's too easy. So see, let's read this real quick. It says the origins of the phrase 7 seas can be traced to ancient times. In various cultures at different times in history, the 7 seas has referred to bodies of water along trade routes, regional bodies of water, or exotic and far away bodies of water. In Greek literature, which is where the phrase entered Western literature, the seven seas were the Aegean, Adriatic, Mediterranean, Black, Red, and Caspian seas, with the Persian Gulf thrown in as a sea. But see, all of that changed throughout, the course of history. In medieval Europe literature, the phrase referred to the North Sea, Baltic, Atlantic, Mediterranean, Black, Red, and Arabian seas. As trade picked up across the Atlantic, the concept of the seven seas changed again. Okay, I'm right here. Mariners then referred to the seven seas as the Arctic, the Atlantic, the Indian, the Pacific, the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of America. Not many people use this phrase today, but you could say that the modern seven seas include the Arctic, all right, North Atlantic, South Atlantic, North Pacific, South Pacific, Indian, and Southern Oceans. So basically, that's what it boils down to today, man. And you could tell these scriptures is really, when you read in Genesis and Second Ezra, it's prophetic. Because, I think, well, I ain't going to get into that. Basically, when you read the scriptures now, they I believe they're prophetic because I think one time the earth was actually at one, it was, well, hold on, let me see real quick. Hold on real quick. Yeah. But yeah, as I was saying, when you read the scriptures, I believe they are prophetic because they read as if, things would be like how they are today. You know what I'm saying? So that when we read the scriptures, we can look at our world and we can understand that these things, are being fulfilled or have happened. But anyway, it says not many people use this phrase today, but you could say that the modern seven seas include the Arctic, North Atlantic, South Atlantic, North Pacific, South Pacific, Indian, and Southern Oceans. Okay? However, our ocean is more commonly geographically divided into the Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, Arctic, and Southern Antarctic. So that's what Noah tell you, right? Just like the scriptures tell you, man. Okay, it says, 2 Ezra 6:42, upon the third day thou didst command that the water should be gathered in the seventh part of the earth. All right. So, all this talk about Pangea and the land mass is one mass and all this, that probably wasn't even so, man. Because on the third day, look what he did as well. It says, 6 parts has thou dried up. What's that talking about? That's talking about the continents, man. It says 6 parts has thou dried up. See, it's a typo. It says pats here, but it's supposed to be parts. 6 parts has thou dried up, and kept them to the intent that of these some being planted of God and tilled might serve thee. Okay, so what's the 6 parts that were dried up? Let's deal with that real quick, man. Now I did another search on the continents. And guess how many continents there are? But see, they're going to tell you it's 7. But it's actually 6. Watch, I'm about to show you. It says the 7 continents are Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, okay, Europe, and Australia. All right, that's their 7. Okay. Let me see here. See what Wikipedia say. Yeah, come on, man. It says a continent is any of several large terrestrial geographical regions. Continents are generally identified by convention rather than any strict criteria. A continent could be a single large landmass, and nearby islands either on or beyond its continental shelf, or a part of a larger landmass, as in the case of Asia and Europe, with Eurasia. Okay. Due to these varying definitions, the number of continents varies, up to 7 or as few as 4. Okay. Yep. See, that's what they say, 4 to 7 continents. But according to the scripture, Mosiah said he dried up the land, right? All right. 6 parts has thou dried up. So he dried up 6 parts of the earth, man, so that they could be continents. Okay. So let's peep this website here, man. This is worldatlas.com. Worldatlas.com. It says 7 continents. All right, let me read this real quick. So how many continents are there? There are 7 continents on our planet: Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Antarctica, Europe, and Australia. These land masses from the world's geographical structure, each possessing features particular to themselves, biodiversity, culture, and economic significance. But I'm about to show you Antarctica really not a continent. Okay. Antarctica is not a continent. That's nothing but ice down there, man. Which really makes that whole area inhabitable. You can't, how you gonna have a civilization down there to where you could have a history of people living and populating that area and setting up, governments and civilizations and things of that nature. See, Antarctica that's not a continent, man. See, the Most High, he don't consider that a continent. That ain't nowhere where people could live. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep reading though. It says, a continent is generally defined as a large, continuous, discrete mass of land separated from others by expanses of water. However, defining a continent is not always straightforward due to varying perspectives influenced by cultural and geographical factors. All right. See, you see right here, this map? You actually got 6 continents, man. This is actually accurate, according to the scriptures, man. North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia. That's it. Those are the 6 parts that the Most High dried up. And for what purpose? See, this is what you got to look at and pay attention to. It says, 6 parts has thou dried up, and kept them for what purpose? To the intent that of these some being planted of God, the Most High, until might serve thee. So he made these 6 parts to be dried up so that he could put man there in order to serve him. Because you think about it, Antarctica is not a place where you can actually have people there to actually till the earth and have agriculture and farming and all of that. See, but the 6 parts that have been dried up, you could do that. So according to my cultural difference, Antarctica is not a continent. You cannot have man live there and plow the land and sow seed and have harvest and springtime and fall and all of that good stuff. You know what I mean? You can't have that in Antarctica. But I'm going to keep reading. It says there are usually 7 recognized continents, but they are alternative models as represented by the 5 Olympic rings. The 5 continent model includes Europe, Asia, Africa, America, combining North and South, and Oceania, including Australia. This model is based on the view of continents as inhabited land masses. You see? This model is based on the view of continents as inhabited land masses, leaving out Antarctica. Leaving out Antarctica, man. Because you can't really actually inhabit Antarctica. So that ain't a continent. All praises. Who want to live in ice, man? Who want to live in some ice, man? You know what I mean? Yeah. Live in a damn igloo. What kind of life is that? You know what I'm talking about? Come on, man. Living in the igloo. Talking about you living. You want to go ice fishing. Man, come on, man. Get out of here, man. So on the other hand, there are several other continental models that are taught in different regions of the world. For example, they are variant. But I made the point, really. You know what I'm saying? I made the point. That's the 6 parts, man. That's the 6 parts. The 6 parts has now dried up and kept them to the intent that of these some being planted of the Most High Yahweh and tilled, right, might serve thee. So he dried up that part of the earth, the 6 parts, so that he could have his creature placed there in those parts of the earth, the dried up parts, the 6 parts that are dried up. He dried it up to the intent that he could plant his man there to serve him. But see, he ain't gonna put man in Antarctica. You feel me? The Most High not gonna put man in Antarctica, man. So that ain't actually no continent. And besides, you look at Antarctica, he said let me get the scripture again, man. Let me just get it. I'm gonna nail this. I'm gonna nail this in the head hard, man. I'm gonna really hammer this. Cause y'all hard-headed, you know what I mean? Y'all talking about the earth flat. It says 6 parts has thou dried up. You see that? He said, the scripture say he dried it up. Is Antarctica dry? No, it's not. Ain't nothing but ice and wet sheets of ice blanketed with snow. You do not want to live there, man. Come on, man. That ain't no continent, man. Most High said the 6 parts he has dried up. You know what I'm talking about? Alright? You want to live with polar bears, man? Come on, man. That ain't no continent, man. So that you see Antarctica, it's not dry. It's not a dry part of the earth, man. So the 6 parts up here, you see right there? That's the 6 parts that the Most High dried up. And you got a little bit of ice here and there, like right up in here. You know, you got some ice. You know what I mean? But that see that ain't really enough to really cancel out the fact that you still can have people inhabit North America. You know what I'm talking about? So you got North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, and Australia. That's the dry parts, man. Where the Most High intended that he could put his man there to till the ground and do, you know, all kinds of stuff, man. Work, basically. Build civilizations. Have histories. You know? Have empires and kingdoms. Can't do that in Antarctica. What you gonna build a snow castle, man? Come on. You gonna build you an ice castle talking about you ruling, man? Nah, man. Okay. Keep reading, man. On the other hand, there are several other continental models that are taught in different regions of the world. For example, there are variants of the 6 continent model used widely across Europe. See, Europe got it right. in one model used in Western Europe, the Americas are combined, and Europe. See that part? Yeah, nah. And Europe and Asia are separate. However, an alternate six-continent model considers Europe and Asia as a single continent and the Americas as separate entities. This version of the six-continent model, which combines Eurasia into one continent, is prevalent in many parts of Eastern Europe and Asia, including English-speaking countries, China, India, Pakistan, which generally accept the seven-continent model. It says there is also a four-continent model which attempts to simplify the world's geographic structure. This model groups North and South America as one continent, combines Europe, Africa, and Asia into another, and maintains Australia as a separate continent, leaving Antarctica as the fourth. Alright. But I don't know if I believe that Pangea. You know what I'm saying? Because the scriptures say on the third day, or maybe Pangea took place before the third day. You know what I'm saying? But scriptures tell us he divided the waters in the dry land, right? And the 6 parts he dried up. So when the earth started to appear, it was already divided, according to the scripture. Seemed like, because I think this is the only time where we read about the earth, the actual earth being dried up. Okay, that's the only part in Genesis and in right here, 2nd Ezra chapter 6, that mentions the earth, right, on the third day. And on that third day, all right, he divided the waters in the dry land. And the dry land was 6 parts. All right. So yeah, man, that's what it is, man. All right, 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 42. Upon the third day thou didst command that the waters should be gathered in the 7th part of the earth. 6 parts hast thou dried up and kept them, to the intent that of these some being planted of God and tilled might serve thee. So yeah, that's the point, man. You want to check this website out, you can read the rest and you know. Alright, with that, I'm going to say all praises, glory, honor, thanksgiving to Yahweh, Shem HaMashiach, Yahushua. Peace and blessings to the whole full elect. Shalom.